What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Utini Designs. Today we're going to be laser engraving PMags. And with PMags, they are polymer nylon. So they are safe to laser engrave for the most part. Just make sure you have good ventilation, which I do. I have it going directly out the window here with a duct fan in between the window and the laser. So it really sucks out the fumes. So you definitely want to make sure you do it in a well-ventilated area. But yeah, we're going to engrave some PMags today on the XTool F1 Ultra, which is a diode and infrared laser. So let me hop right into it here. All right, so you can see I have a jig set up in this laser. This is a 3D printed jig that I got off of Maker World, which is a 3D printing site. And this jig's pretty cool because not only does it hold the PMags, but you don't have to focus prior to engraving. So that's really cool. You see this little block right here. That's roughly at the same height of the PMag sitting in the jig. So you just focus to that, and then your focus should be good. Now, what I always do is I always focus to that, and then I drop my focus 1 millimeter. So for instance, I focused and it was at 27.1 millimeters. I dropped the focus to 26.1. And that's just to get a little bit finer dot size on that PMag and get a more consistent engraving. So as you can see, we have a design here, John Wick, Baba Yaga. Big fan of those movies, so I figured I would do a PMag in that first. Now this is a very, very complex design. This design you can actually get on this website right here, which is Etsy, and you want to look up Obsidian Lasering. That's where these designs are that I'm engraving tonight. So definitely go there, check them out, and I can put that in the chat. Let me copy and paste that. And there it is in the chat. So again, that's where we'll be engraving, is the designs from this guy. Now PMags, there are several different types out there. These are the 30 round PMags, the windowless. These are Gen 2s. There was also a Gen 3, which has a slightly different pattern, but these are the Gen 2s. So if you have a window in your PMag and you're trying to laser engrave, just make sure you cut out the design around that window. So for settings, since we are using the fiber infrared laser, I have this split up into two pieces because these designs are so complex. They have a lot of little pieces in them. Even when you merge them, they still are considered complex. So we're going to engrave Keanu Reeves first, and we're setting this up with the fiber IR. Power is 15, speed is 250, which is, I'm sorry, 2,500 is the speed. So power 15, speed 2,500. We're going to do 6 passes at 300 DPI and a 30 on the frequency. Now what that's going to do is that's going to give us kind of a gold tannish color. Then after that's done engraving, we will turn on our text layer. Let me make sure my program is working here, which it looks like it may have. Nope, it's working. It's just not letting me select that for some reason. Streaming is always so much fun. Okay, yeah, it thinks it's trying to frame, but I'm not trying to frame anything. So let me let's see, is this one trying to frame? That one is not trying to frame. So let me close this one out, if it'll let me. Let's just add in a new one. For some reason, my laser thinks I'm trying to frame, and I'm not, because I already have it pre-framed. So what we will do is, let's see if it'll let me close it. It will not. Let me close the ladder. Let me force quit my laser software, and I will bring it back up. Discard. Again, these files are huge, so that's more likely the reason it decided to crash on me. So let's share this screen again. Disregard. I want this one. And you can tell just by loading this up that it's a pretty big file. It's pretty detailed. So we're going to make sure everything's still correct here. So I'm going to go into my layers. So I have the text turned off currently, and we're just going to engrave John first. Again, power 15, speed 2,500, 6 passes, 300 lines per centimeter, and a frequency of 30. We're going to engrave him first. Once he's engraved, we will move to the text. Again, that will be a fiber IR, power of 30, speed of 500, 6 passes at 160 lines per centimeter. Now, the reason there's a difference is so you can get different colors. Engraving at different speeds and different frequencies, different dots per inch, different powers will get you different colors. And I can show you an example of that right here. So there is an example of a laser engraved PMag. So you can see we have gray, and then we have kind of a goldish tan white color. And of course, the other side's the same way. So that's what we're trying to achieve with this one. Here's one that's just kind of a regular grayish white. So that kind of gives you an idea of just a single color engraving. And then this one is a dual color, but because it's a dark gray color and then the white over top, you can really see how much details in these files from Laser Obsidian. Let me see if I can get my face out of there. There we go. So you can really see how detailed these files are. And that's one of the reasons it takes so long to load up, is because they have lots of little parts in them. So now that you kind of know what we're trying to achieve, we're doing the same thing with this. So I'm going to go ahead, and my laser's already fired up. We've already measured. I will go ahead and measure again. I'm not going to frame on this. And the reason for that is I've already pre-framed all this. So I've pre-framed it to the jig, so I don't need to frame again. If you are doing this for the first time on your end, you will need to frame, just to make sure that you're getting it where you think it's going to be. So I'm down downing the laser focus just slightly. And we're going to engrave John Wick first. So while we do that, let me pull up my other camera. And we will get that going. So I'll remove this. So now you have a view of the laser, so you can watch it laser engrave this PMag. So we're going to hit process. This is on my screen, it shows a view of the process. So let me show you that here real quick. So this is only the area we're processing currently. We're going to come back and do the text after this is done processing. The reason I don't do it all together is because these files are so complex, it causes issues with XTool Studio. So even when I merge the like pieces together, it still takes a little while. And I am running on a, let you know what kind of laptop I'm running on. Now, this is not my most powerful laptop. It's a MacBook Air with 24 gigs of RAM, and it is a M3 chip. So let me remove this, and we'll go back to this. And as soon as it says I'm able to process, what it's doing is it's sending all that information over to the laser right now, which takes just a little bit of time. But the end result is always worth it. These things really turn out cool. So just bear with me on the time here, and you will get to see some pretty cool laser engraving on these. It's still trying to send over to the computer. But if you have any questions, please type them in the chat. Again, we're using the XTool F1 Ultra, which is a fiber and diode laser. And we are engraving nylon polymer PMags, 30 rounds. G2s is the number for these. So as soon as this finishes popping over to the laser, we will get started. Still processing. As I said before, it is a big file, so it's trying to calculate all the lines it has to do. And the reason these files are so big is because it's kind of like, you remember in the old days, a stippling type effect? That's basically what we're having the laser do is if you remember maybe back in grade school, you had the scratch paper where you took a little metal pencil and it had a metal tip on it like a needle or something, and you would scratch the paper away. That's kind of the type of design that this is designed at. So it's a lot of little scratches that make up the design. Really, really interesting design. Really can't wait to see it take place and take shape in the laser. I showed you the Doc Holliday one. That one turned out amazing. So I'm really interested to see how this one turns out with the settings I have. Once my computer decides to say, yeah, we can do that. I'm actually surprised it's taking this long. But we'll let it do its thing, and as soon as it says it's ready, it'll be ready. So I guess we can switch back to me for a minute here. Again, my apologies for it taking so long. Hey, Jack. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, this is the Doc Holliday PMag. Turned out really, really well. Now, this actually used 2 different color layers for Doc and then a single color layer for the text. So this one was even more complicated than the one we're doing now. But it turned out really good. Was able to engrave on both sides. And you can see just how detailed that thing is. All those little marks are little laser marks. So the other one that I did earlier was the Predator. So that was a tool color, two color as well, but a much simpler design than the one we're trying to do now. So we'll see if my computer decides to cooperate with me. Jack in the shop says, I'm your Huckleberry. And Sigma says, good evening. Hello, hello. You doing PMags too? You talking that you're asking if I'm doing PMags? That's what this video is about. You must be doing them as well. I just think they're a great seller. They're a great gift. You can usually pick up the Gen 2 PMags between $9 and $11, and with custom engraving and stuff. And again, depending on your area and your market, you're looking at between $20 and $30 roughly for them to be able to sell them. That's retail, obviously, but you are adding something to the PMag, especially if you're doing an engraving that means something to somebody. So that really helps. Again, just waiting for my computer to process this image. I may have to go to my more powerful computer to actually do it, but I can still show it on here. We just won't process it on here. We'll give it just a little bit more, and then we'll go to option 2. While that's doing that, let me switch cameras here, and I will set that up just in case. So you have a laser engraver, Sigma? Which one do you have? Regular F1, but it does the job just fine. Yep, it sure does. And that's the beauty of these is, even though, now granted the F1's smaller, so to do like these full-size PMags may not be possible in the F1, but you can definitely you can piece it together. So I don't think that should stop anybody from investing in an F1 or F2. I have an F2. But for these full-size graphics on the PMags, I just decided to do it on the F2 or F1 Ultra. I also have an F2 Ultra UV, but that one's a little bit slower, so I just do it on the F1 Ultra. Let me pull up my file here on the other computer, since this seems to be taking way longer than I expected. Oh yeah, you have the slide. Okay. I haven't tried my slide on the F2 yet. I have it. I just haven't tried it yet. And Jack says his Galvo is a hack job. So let me load up my files here. I do apologize for the long wait. I did not expect it to take that long to transfer the information. And it could very well be that my little MacBook Air just is not up to snuff enough to do it. So we will move to my M3. I do more etching on 3D prints than PMags. Okay. Jack says he bought it as a cheap 30-watt Ricus and then built it to a 100-watt JPT MOBA. Wow. So you can do coins and stuff. That's cool. I can do coins on this F1 Ultra, but they take 3 to 4 hours, if not longer. But with a 100-watt MOPA, man, you could probably knock out coins in 30 minutes. All right, let me see if this is really going to screw things up if I try to connect to my F1 Ultra and I have this other machine connected to it. So I'm going to hit back on this. And actually, I think the software might have locked up again on me. So make sure you have a decent computer when you're trying to engrave these massive designs, for sure. So let me load this back from this one. And let me double check my settings on this. I may actually have to reboot my machine as well. Or my laser, I mean. There we go. Now it's talking to it. So let me disconnect from this. I'm just going to switch this to this one. Bear with me for just a moment here. I'm going to switch it to a different computer so we can get this going here. 26.1. All right. So now we should be in business, hopefully. So let's go to process. And we'll give this computer a moment, but this one's a heck of a lot more powerful, so it shouldn't take near as long. So start. Let's see. Jack did 22 coins the week before last. Wow. And he says it does take 30 minutes. He says, I don't do many coins though. I do a lot of pocket knives, use the fiber for the blade, and my 40-watt diode on the handle. Gotcha. Is the cube in the center for calibration? That's exactly what it's for. It's at the same height as the PMags sit in the jig. I do tumblers and clear acrylic on the 60-watt CO2. Yeah, I do on my 55-watt CO2, I do tumblers and clear acrylic as well. I got a X2 P2S. So it looks like this is finally sent over. Amazing what a more powerful computer can do. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start on this, and we will see what happens. One thing I have noticed with the latest XTool Studio update is that when you send it and when you press the button, when used to be when you press the button, it would automatically just start lasering. Now it takes about 5-10 seconds and then it starts lasering. And I think what they did is they added something in the software that basically warms up the laser a little bit, so it's not like a cold start in case you're in a cold environment or a cooler environment. So I think that's what they did. But as you can see, it is engraving, and we will continue to watch that here come to life. And we are engraving the John Wick design. And the way I have this set up is, let me share my screen here. The way I have this set up in the XTool software is I have two canvases. I have one for the left and one for the right side. So that way I can quickly flip it over to the right and do the right side as well. So that's what makes it really nice. Let's see if we can add my other one. Now pay no attention, even though this says F2 Ultra UV on here. I just put that in there so it wouldn't conflict with my other software that's actually doing the engraving. So we are engraving on the F1 Ultra. And I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm just going to switch it to that so we don't get it confused. And this will be the other design that we'll be doing here shortly as soon as this is done. So let's switch back to the engraving here so we can see what we're engraving. Yeah, it has a preheat option. You used to be able to turn that off, but now I think they actually made it default when you upgrade your XTool Studio. Because like I said, it never preheated the laser until today. So at first I thought it was hung up, but I think it just preheats the laser now. But I mean, XTool knows what they're doing. I mean, they make innovations all the time. So that's why I kind of stick with them, is because they're constantly innovating, not only their lasers, but the software and the functionality they've built into their lasers. So if they see something down the line that, you know, may be causing issues, they can normally change it. And it's seamless. You don't have to, you know, send your laser in or anything like that. It just happens. But as you can see John Wick come to life here, it really doesn't take too long. This set is going to take about 30 minutes to engrave one side. Now, obviously, that's because I'm doing multiple passes on the to get the different colors. So, for instance, just on John Wick himself, I'm doing 6 passes. And then on the text, I'm also doing 6 passes, but at different speeds and powers to get the different colors. But really, you figure 30, 40 minutes per PMag for these really complex designs. But you could literally do you know, if you just wanted to do something simple like vector text or a lot simpler graphic, you could knock out these PMags in a couple minutes a piece. Maybe 4 or 5 minutes, if not faster, a piece. These are just way more complex designs than what most people do. And if you want to check out these designs, I did get them from Etsy. And let me pull up the link here. So there is the link. And I can paste it into chat. So if you check out Obsidian Lasering on Etsy, that's where you get these really complex designs. But I do have to warn you, you have to have a pretty good computer in order to do them. The designs are not for the faint of heart, for sure, as far as computer strength goes. The one thing I do wish XTool would do in their software is show you which pass it's on. So, for instance, in the processing panel, it should show you, hey, I'm on pass 1. Hey, I'm on pass 2, especially if you have multiple passes. Now, that may be overkill on something like a coin where you're doing 256 layers. So you're doing lots of different passes. But on images like this, where it's all vector, because that's the other thing. This is not a PNG image. This is all vector imaging. So every single line is a vector line. That's the other reason the computer kind of crashed there towards the front when we were trying to do it on the MacBook Air. I'm running it on the MacBook Pro right now, and it's running just fine. So Sigma says mine handles Fusion, so I think it would be fine with 2D images. If this was a 2D image, absolutely. But this is all vector, so, and it's very detailed vectors. So that's kind of the complication that you run into. But I'm sure if it runs Fusion, you should be okay. what I usually do is I bring the designs into Studio, and obviously, you know, there's different colors for the different layers. I merge all those colors, all those light colors together. So for instance, on the John Wick, if I add this back to stage here, and go to my layers, you can see I have 3 layers. I got the blue, which is an outline of the PMag for placement. I don't turn that on, obviously. I got the red, which is the text, and that's because I've merged all the red together. So the software sees it as one vector. And then I have John, which is made up of all these tiny little pieces, and those are all vectors. See how tiny those are? Those are all vector pieces. But what I've done is I've merged them all into a compound path. So it processes them all at the same time. But it's still pretty complex. So just to give you an idea, let me pull up, let me see how big this John Wick file is. So the John Wick PMag file is 60 megabytes. So that's a lot to be pushing through the laser. Yeah. So this guy's designs are amazing, but they are very, very heavy as far as when it comes to processing them. So let's, oh, there we go. So we are still processing. Let me go look and see what my deal says as far as time. Says we should have a few minutes left, and then we'll move on to the other PMag. I won't let you, won't bore you by sitting through both sides, but I will do both sides. I will finish the other 2 off camera, but because again, it's taking way longer than I originally intended or expected. But it is coming out pretty good. Yeah, I'm sure he used a vector conversion program. There's no doubt, because when you look at the detail in this, so let me zoom in here and show you. Add this back to stage. See how all those aren't straight? Like this one right here in particular is not straight. A normal vector artist would make all these straight lines and see how they're kind of curved and kind of have waves in them. That's not done by a human being. That's done by a vector conversion program for sure. But I mean, even in his face, look at all those lines in there. There ain't no way a human being drew that. That's all done by a vector program. I mean, I suppose he could have AI do it. AI would probably do a decent job at it, but the designs were just cool. I liked them. So, and as far as, yeah, I mean, he sells his files. I think they're like $30 for the file. But again, you have, you know, the ability to make it and sell it. So, I think like I said, if you sell these for between $20 and $30 a PMag with this type of engraving on it, and you pay $30 for the file, you sell 2 PMags, you made your money back, and now you're profitable. So I did see that on Etsy, if you buy designs, you do have to be careful, and not because of IP or anything. I mean, we all know Etsy is the IP king as far as let's copy everything from Disney to whatever. But what I'm talking about is when you purchase a file, make sure that it says that you can commercially sell the prints from that file, whether it's laser engraved, whether it's prints, whether it's 3D prints, whatever. You may not own the IP. I'm not going to argue that rabbit hole, but make sure that you have the ability to sell what you make from that file, because there are files on Etsy that say you cannot sell even physical products made of their files. So read the fine print when you purchase a file. This thing's still running though, still looking good. Go see how much time it says we have left. You can see that in the software, but sometimes the software is not exactly accurate. It says we still have about 15 minutes left on this. But I think that's because, again, there's 6 passes on each piece. But yeah, on your STLs on Thingiverse, no commercial profit. Yep. So yeah, I mean, even printing the physical item doesn't give you the right to sell it. And I think that's the thing. I mean, I'm subscribed to so many Patreons, it's not even funny, because I just don't want to deal with the hassle. It's easier for me to subscribe to the Patreons and know that I have the license from the artist to print and sell than it is to, just go on Maker World and print something and then throw it in my shop. Is there going to be somebody that's going to be like, oh, you got that on Maker World? Probably not. But why take the chance, and why screw the artist? I'm an artist myself. I don't want somebody taking, my designs and 3D models that I've made and making a profit from them if I don't want it to be commercially viable. So, do unto others as you would have done unto you, type of thing. But yeah, these PMags are really, really cool. There's some really cool designs out there for them. So you'll have to look up your deal on Thingiverse, Sigma. I'm not sure if I've ever seen it or not. Do you go under Sigma 05 on Thingiverse too? I'll have to look that up. Kendo. I'll have to look that up and check out some of your stuff. Is there an underscore or anything in there? Okay, there you are. I see you. I see you. Yeah, you're here in North Carolina too. I forgot about that. Yep. Oh yeah. A lot of cosplay, Greebles. Very cool. I'll have to check that out later when I have more time. We're getting closer, it looks like. Goodness gracious, I did not realize this engraving was going to take this long. I'd like to get on to the next one. But hey, we're just hanging out. It's a Tuesday night at 9:16 Eastern. So what else you got to do on Tuesday night, right? But I do really love the XTool lasers. I am an XTool demo room as well. So if anybody ever wants a demo of a laser, whether you're looking to buy one or whatnot, you can go to XTool's website and you can find me. And I can demo the laser either in person, which means you come to me, or I can do it online via Teams or what's that other program? I forget now. Teams and I don't know. It's an online program. It's kind of like a meeting thing. A lot of businesses use it. Zoom, there it is. Yep, I can do it via Zoom as well. And basically, they ask you a bunch of questions: what laser you're looking at, what you want to do with it, what materials you want to process with it, and all that gets sent to me. I come up with a game plan, and then we kind of go over it within an hour, hour and a half. We go over it online, and then you go and make your purchase. So that's how that works. I get paid for the demo directly from XTool, and I just basically use that little bit of money to turn right around and buy more materials that I use in the demos, because it's literally like $30 is what I make. So, but very cool program. Big fan of XTool and what they're trying to do and their innovation. The F1 Ultra that we're laser engraving these PMags on right now actually was my first laser. And then I ended up getting the P2S, and then I got the F2 Ultra UV, so I could do glass and that sort of thing. And then they were having a sale on the F2, and I thought, well, maybe I'll need a portable laser at some point. So I got the F2. Yeah, it's a really cool program. At first they were kind of letting everybody in, and now I think they've kind of tightened it down because I think there was a lot of people just trying to get in it to get free equipment. And I can tell you that I do not get free equipment. I've paid for every single one of my lasers. XTool has not sent me anything for free. I take that back. They sent me a t-shirt. They sent me a free t-shirt. That was it. Everything else I've paid for. So I'm really excited about their UV printer. Not the UV laser, but the UV printer that they're hopefully going to release here in Q2. I finally got my PMag UV printer. It is still in the box. The reason it's still in the box is because I don't have any ink yet. They sent me the printer. They haven't sent me any ink to use in the printer. So that's why. The great thing about the old F1 is you can engrave on large objects. You can do that with the F2 as well, the new F2. Now the F1 Ultras and the F2 Ultras, you cannot. They do not have the removable base plate, and they weigh about 50 pounds. So you do not want to move those. I've taken my F1 Ultra to one event and never again. It was just too much of a hassle. They're not designed to be moved a lot. So if you want a portable laser, look at the F1 or the F2. And I would definitely suggest the F2 because I'm sure they're going to do an end of life on the F1 here for too long. It's still a great little laser, but the F2 is just a little bit more powerful and has some of the newer technology in it. It does autofocus and stuff like that. Where on the F1, you still have to manually focus. But yeah, we're just laser engraving away here, and let's go take a look at the, okay, so it's still doing the passes on John. And see, that's what's weird is even as a compound path, you would think it's got all those little pieces, but as a compound path, technically the program should see it as one piece. So it should process it faster as well, but it really doesn't. But it's still humming along. And I did go ahead and add in the text just because my more powerful laptop can handle it. And so it will do the text as soon as it is done with the with John. Where on the other computer I was trying to do just John first and then do the text as another process later. But the bigger computer doesn't have an issue with it. And you know, it might actually be something with XTool Studio. And the reason I say that is on my other computer, I don't have XTool Studio. I just have the, what do they call that? The XTool Creative Space. So I have the old version on there. And it handles the file just fine. But XTool Studio seems to struggle with it. So it may just be something with the studio software. I don't know. But I don't have the old Creative Space software on my smaller laptop. So, because I take it in between my P2S and my lasers upstairs. It's my portable laptop that isn't stationary. So my other laptop's stationary, it never moves. But yeah, there's a lot of cool things you can do with these PMags and the lasers and whatnot. And I really enjoy engraving them, especially with the designs from Obsidian Lasering. He has some fantastic. And like I said, they look simple at first, but when you really zoom in and see all the bits and pieces, man, there's a lot to it. Now this, let me switch my camera here. This one here. So now this design is much simpler. That is all one piece. It does have a lot of the same type of, you know, comic book style slashes in it. The scratch art is what I call it. But this came in as one piece. So it was pieces. And this engraved in about 5 minutes, roughly. So the Predator was another one that I did. It engraved in about 10 minutes, I think. And that's because it had multiple passes to get the different color in the skull. And as you can see, I got a little bit different color in the eyes as well. But that was both of these are designs that I found on Etsy. So let's see, this is still chugging along here. Let me switch it back to the other camera because you don't want to see my ugly mug. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Use mine to cut slate tiles for my 1/6 Yavin diorama. Very cool. Yeah, the bad thing, the only bad thing about galvo lasers and cutting is obviously you get an angle to the cut the further away from center you get. But you know, that's just all part of the process. If I found out very quickly that lasers like to multiply like rabbits. So you'll get a laser for a specific need, and then there'll be a different need. You know, somebody will say, "Hey, can you do glass?" Well, in order to do glass, you either need to prep it first, in the case of the F1 or F2, or even the F1 Ultra, or even the F2 Ultra. But with the F1 or the F2 Ultra UV, there's no prep to the glass at all. With a CO2 laser, no prep to the glass at all. Now, the difference is the CO2 laser microfractures the glass, where the UV laser cold engraves the glass. So you don't see as much of the microfracturing in the glass as you do with the CO2 laser, just because it's a UV. So there's different lasers for different projects. Now my P2S can do large, you know, long projects. I shouldn't say large because it's just long, because it's only about 19 inches to 20 inches wide is the width that it can do. But the new P3 can do, you know, 27 or 28 inches wide, I think, by 10 feet long. So again, different use case scenarios, you'll need a different laser. But yeah, I found out very quickly that can the F2 UV do acrylic? It can do acrylic, but not necessarily clear acrylic. For clear acrylic, you still want a CO2. The dot size is way smaller on the UV, so you get a lot more detail in it. But I have not tried clear acrylic on the UV, just because of the fact that, again, lasering clear anything without a CO2 laser is too troublesome, I think. I know some people that have done it and they've gotten mixed results. Now on opaque acrylic, absolutely, that thing is amazing. Let me grab a sample here, and I can show you. I actually did a video on it. My last live, I think, is what it was. So let me grab this here, and so the thing I do like about the UV, especially on like black acrylic. So I cut this black acrylic out with my P2S, and there is the engraving that I got. On the UV. See if I can get the reflection out of there. If I can get it to focus. So that was done on the UV, just on black acrylic. And then this one was done on the UV as well. I'll try to get my reflection out of there. Black acrylic is so reflective. So yeah, that was just cut on the P2S and then engraved with the UV laser. Let's see if I can cover up my face with both of these and maybe you'll be able to see it. There we go. There, it focused. Yes, I do. I do clear on the P2. So like all my, I do a lot of micro galaxy squadron stands. If you know what that is. So I do the clear acrylic stands for the micro galaxy squadron line of collectibles. Now the one thing I do like about the UV, and I haven't played with it a whole lot, but the inner glass engravings. So let me see if I can show this on camera. So that is a canine glass crystal, and I put a 3D model of a biker scout in there, and it engraved it to where it's literally 3D inside the glass. You need to expand to the Hasbro models. Only decent guy I know is in Australia. I have started with the Kenner Vintage line, but all I have right now is the X-Wing and the Snowspeeder from the Kenner Vintage line from the 80s. Those are the only two stands I've done so far. I'm working on a Slave one. I don't know if I really even want to try to tackle the Falcon just because it's so big. But I will probably do an A-Wing. I will probably do a B-Wing. The shuttle, again, that thing's so dang big, I don't know if I even want to tackle that. Just the amount of acrylic it would take, I don't think it would be cost effective. Because sheets of acrylic are, you know, $20. So you figure something that big, it's going to take 2 sheets, which means I got $40 in materials without my time. Are you going to want to pay $80 to $100 for an acrylic stand? Probably not. So this thing's almost done, I think. Let's go back over to it. So as you can see, it's really popping now on that PMag. Yeah, absolutely, man. Whenever, you know, shoot me an email or a text. I'm pretty easy to find. Heck, you live close enough, you could probably just swing by sometime. We'll set up a time and I mean, I know Apex is a little ways from Kannapolis, but not too far. But yeah, this thing should be starting to engrave the letters here for too long. It's only got about another minute, it says, left. So it should be popping in those letters any moment. Now, letters will go pretty quick, but at least I'm pretty sure I told it to engrave the letters. Guess we'll find out. About 2 hours. Yeah. I mean, again, you know, we could set up a time on a weekend and whatnot if you wanted to do that. But I mean, obviously, if the internet, you can just send me kind of what you want, and I can send you pictures back of the design and so on and so forth. So either way, But as expensive as shipping is, it's probably almost cheaper to drive even with the gas prices. Shipping's ridiculous. Let's see what we got here. Pretty sure I told that to engrave with the text. There's the text. Here it comes. Now you'll see the text is going way faster. So yeah, that was almost 30, gosh, at least 35 minutes for one side. That's ridiculous. So an hour of a mag. But again, that's why you're able to charge, 30, 40 bucks. It takes time. And unfortunately, like I said, with a design like this, with as detailed as it is, you really can't cut that down any. Otherwise, you start losing detail in the image. So it's just one of those things. There we go. We got the beep of I'm done. Either that or my laser's about to blow up. So now what I'll do is I'll flip it over to this side so I can do the back side. And then on this side, I'll start the next one. I won't make you all suffer through the full engraving on the next one. But it's definitely cool to do these. So let me switch it back over here to the next one. And take a screenshot. And just make sure my outputs are on. Let's see. Details are sick. Yes. Yeah. Let me grab it here in a second. I'm going to start this other one here. So let me blow my, let's see, want this camera. So there is the details on that PMag. You can see why it took so long. I'm not sure why my camera is backwards. Let me see if I can fix that. Camera, oh, wrong one. Settings, mirror. See if that, there we go. So yeah, that's the John Wick PMag. Well, now it's mirrored on YouTube. That's weird. Must have just been mirrored on my end. So yeah, pretty cool. So I'll throw that into the other side, and I've actually started the process for the other. Yeah, brother. Hope you learned something. You can sort of see Wyatt right there. Now he is going to be a lot quicker. It says about 20 minutes to do him. So, but he doesn't have as much detail. So, absolutely. Good night, brother. But doing these PMags are really, really cool. Big thanks for Sigma for all his questions and interaction. And of course, Jack in the shop, if he's still out there, thank you for your interaction. It's not always fun just sitting here talking to myself, but it is what it is. Either way, we'll get it done. But the settings for this particular, for the Wyatt Earp, just so you know, Wyatt Earp himself, which is engraving right now, is again using the fiber laser, and we're going 15% power, 2500 speed, 6 passes at 300 lines per centimeter, and a frequency of 40. Or actually, I'm sorry, 30. Sorry, frequency of 30. Oh, I done screwed all that up. Hang on just a second. I'm gonna make sure. Okay, yeah. Power's 15, speed's 2500, 6 passes, 300 lines per centimeter, and 30 on the frequency. So that's what we're doing on the Wyatt Earp. So the exact same as we did on the John Wick. For the text, this is only for the text. We're doing a power of 30, a speed of 5,000, 6 passes, 160 lines per centimeter, and a frequency of 30. That gives you a slightly different coloring on the text. So that's why we're doing that. So pay no attention to this. This is for the F2 Ultra UV. But again, I was just kind of showing how that kind of works. So there's the John Wick. There's the Wyatt Earp. And we will go back to the Wyatt Earp. So you can see Wyatt kind of come to life here. And of course, I will just flip it to the other side and run that side and do it that way. So slow process, especially with these more complex designs, but you got to pay to play. You got to be able to sit and watch it. But as soon as this side is complete, we will show that, and then I will end the stream so you at least see two different designs, two different complex designs, very much with the same settings, but just gives you an idea. Of course, you can make your own designs. As a graphic designer myself for over 30 years, I do make a lot of my own designs. These are just really cool. They were already done, so why reinvent the wheel? If there are any questions or comments out there, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them. maybe for my next video, I'll do something a little bit quicker. But I really do like the detail in these. They're great designs. So check out Obsidian lasering again on Etsy. Great designs, but make sure you have a computer that will handle. So this seems to be going just a little bit quicker and faster than the John Wick, but that's a good thing because we're an hour and 16 minutes in, and we only got two PMags on one side each processing. So we still need to process the back side, but like I said, I'm not going to bore you guys with that. I'll do that off camera, and maybe on the next live I'll show the results, and that way you can come back and see it, you know. That's the one thing that people need to realize about do-it-yourself stuff is it always takes longer than you think. I don't know how many projects I've done where I thought, oh man, I'll just whip this out in 5-10 minutes. Nope. 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 hours later. But the results are amazing. So the laser is quite capable of doing things faster. But the more detail, the more precision you ask of it, the slower it has to go in order to give you that. It's just like a 3D printer. You can print great prints at 0.2 millimeters layer height all day long. But you want that super smooth, super fine quality print, you got to go down to 0.12 or 0.08. Triples the print time. Same thing with the laser. You're asking more detail out of it, more things that it has to laser. So that's what it's going to do. Who just popped in here? I see somebody's in here. Shout out your name, post it up, say hi. I won't bite. We're laser engraving some PMags with the F1 Ultra, and Wyatt Earp is being engraved right now. From one of the best Westerns of all time, Tombstone. If you have any questions or comments, throw them up in the chat. So again, the reason these are taking so dang long is because of the detail that's in them. That's honestly all it is. They're not. It's not that they're bad designs. It's just they're super detailed. So I'm just sitting here watching it do its thing. Because you never want to leave a laser unattended. Doesn't matter if the stuff isn't flammable or not. Never, ever leave a laser unattended. If you need to, step out for 20 seconds, that's fine. Anything longer than a minute, I would not suggest it. That's just me. Maybe you have better insurance than I do. I don't know. But things can happen quick. I've seen fires happen real quick on lasers. But yeah, we're just laser engraving on the XTool F1 Ultra. And we're laser engraving some nylon polymer PMags. These are 30 round Magpul PMags, Gen 2s. So no window on them. But these are perfect for these type of detailed and almost full mag engravings. Getting close to the end on this one, I think. Again, it's got to go through so many passes to get that color that I'm looking for, which is that kind of that goldish, antiquish white. You can process images faster if you're just wanting like a straight gray. There's not as many passes. If you just want kind of a bone white, you can do that too. There's not as many passes. But these are the settings that I wanted to do, and so that's what we did. Excuse me. So again, we're just laser engraving some PMags, XTool F1 Ultra. Our settings, we have two different settings for different colors. So for the text, I'm using the Fiber IR. I'm using 30% power, 5,000 speed, 6 passes at 160 lines per centimeter, and 30 on the frequency. For the actual image of Wyatt Earp, we're using 15% power, 2,500 speed, 6 passes, 300 lines per centimeter, and 30 on the frequency. So definitely have some different color variation there between the image and the letters, which is exactly what we want. It might seem slight, but it really does make a difference. I think anyway. I know these videos are long, but hopefully you all get something out of it. If anything, you might get a setting, you might get a little tip. You might see how well jigs work in these lasers. Again, this jig was from the 3D printing site Maker World, and the little cube you see there in the center is for focusing, and then I drop the focus 1 millimeter below that and do the engraving. Looks like we're getting close to doing the letters on the wire up here. So for those that are watching, we are engraving on the PMags with the XTool F1 Ultra. And we are engraving super high detail images that have been converted to vector, which takes between 20 and 30 minutes per side to process. So we've processed one, and we're processing this one, and then we have to flip them over and do the other side. But it's getting late, so even if I flip them over and do the other side, you won't have to stay up and watch it. Could you process two at the same time? Absolutely. I would suggest doing not as detailed of an image if you're going to process two at the same time, because I'm not sure the XTool Studio can take it. But as I said, the XTool Studio, I think, is the bottleneck in my setup. I'm actually engraving this with XTool Creative Space on my more powerful laptop, and it seems to be engraving fine. But there for a while, it was not working on a MacBook Air with XTool Studio. So I hooked up my larger laptop to XTool Creative Space, which is the older software, and it's working. So it's just the amount of detail that's in the design. It's really what it boils down to. And let me show you up close here the design that we did previously. So here is the design we engraved a little while ago. So you can see how detailed that thing is. Very, very detailed. Looks like Baba Yaga is just about ready to come out. So we will, here's another example of one. Again, very, very detailed. And that's why it's taking so long to do these, because of all those little details the laser has to engrave. Now you can do simpler ones. This was a much simpler design. So this one took about 5-6 minutes to do maybe, where these other ones I'm doing right now are taking anywhere between 38 to 40 minutes per side. We also have this design here. This one took about 28 minutes per side roughly. So you can see the different color variations in there. There's dark grays, light grays, kind of a brown, and kind of a tannish white mixed with another white. So you can get lots of different colors out of these with different settings, speeds, powers, frequencies. A really good design course is by Diode Designs, and he has all those type of settings in there. He also teaches you how to do camouflage and stuff on the F1 Ultra on PMags. I believe his course is $75 or maybe $100. Well worth the price. If you are a laser engraver, definitely check out Mike over at Diode Designs. His stuff is great. He has a great tumbler course as well, so be sure to check him out. Looks like this thing's almost done. Let me switch the camera back here so we can see what that's doing. Should be on the last little stint here. You can see how that's really starting to pop. With every pass, it gets a little bit brighter. And here comes the words. And you will see on every pass, the words will get a little bit brighter as well. So this is just the first pass. Now it's going to go into the second pass. See how it's getting brighter? You can really see the difference right there between the first pass and the second pass. And you'll really see it on the banner there at the bottom. Yeah, right there. And then it's going to do another pass. And you'll see it get brighter yet. Again, any comments or questions, throw them up in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer them. This one's almost done now. Now you'll see this next pass, you don't see as much of a difference between the colors because we're just barely fine-tuning the color there. So with pass 1 and 2, you saw a pretty big brightness difference. Here you don't see it as much. But it is getting brighter, just not. It's hard for the camera to pick up the difference in the brightness that's given it. But trust me, it is making a difference. And we are almost done with this side. And And then with this jig, you just simply flip it over to the other side. You align your graphics and you burn the other side. And it looks just like this one. So there we go. We got the beep. Let me go grab it here real quick. All right, so let's look at these details here. So there we go. And look at how detailed that is. Amazing. Very, very detailed. And another mag. So one of my favorite Westerns of all time. So let me go put this back in the machine and we will get out of here. But thank you very much for watching, for sticking with me for an hour and 36 minutes for those that are watching. Hopefully you gained a little bit of knowledge from this. I really hope to do more videos more often and shorter so they're not as long. But hope you all got something out of that. And until next time, keep laser engraving, keep dreaming, and may the force be with you.